Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to episode 9 of the Chocolate Shake. I am the Chocolate Shake, and inshallah, that is God willing, today I will be dealing with the second part of the topic that I dealt with on yesterday, and that is protecting and maintaining women, right? It is the duty of the man to protect and maintain the women folk who are in his family. But with a caveat today. So today we will be dealing with Pookie'ism. So this is my part 2. We're dealing with maintenance, but at the same time, we're going to deal with some of this Pookie'ism that's going on in the beloved black community. All right. So for those of you who may not be black, African American, Negro, colored, or whatever it is we call it ourselves nowadays, understand that this may affect your community in a way that I don't know, that I'm not familiar with, but I'm definitely familiar with Pookie'ism in the black community. And I'm going to deal with that today if you guys give me a moment. So we want to concentrate, first of all, on the fact that, as we said on yesterday, men are the protectors and the maintainers of the women folk, okay? So we're just going to move beyond the fact of protection, right? We already know that women can't protect themselves. They need men. They need us to protect them, regardless of whatever their philosophies are as feminists or womanists or whatever iteration of feminism it is, the first, second, third, fourth, maybe even fifth iteration in my lifetime of feminism or women libists in this country, that movement. At the end of the day, we know that, and they know that they can't defend themselves, right? We are the defenders. So I spoke about that on yesterday. We're going to pass that by. Now we're going to deal with the maintenance portion. Now, what do we mean by men are maintainers of women, right? Qawwamun in the Arabic language. And again, if you're not Muslim, just stay with me, follow me. But there's an Arabic term that's used in that particular verse in our Holy Quran. It's called Qawwamun, right? This ability to have a guardianship over, right? And in that guardianship, you also maintain the thing, right? Just like Allah, we Muslims believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is God, highly glorified is He. We believe that He brought us here, right? No one asked to be born. We were all born because Allah decided for us to be born. We came through the wombs of people that we didn't choose. We didn't have an opportunity to say, hey, I want to choose him and I want to choose her. That's not how it happened. We woke up one day, we came into a certain type of consciousness. We looked into the faces of two human beings. One was mother, the other was father, right? And then we accepted that as our reality and we moved forward in our lives. So God created us and it's His responsibility to take care of us. It's the Creator's responsibility to make sure that all of us are okay. And how the Creator does that is He gives us a network of human beings around us so that we can evolve through that network, knowing who's who, where the strengths and the weaknesses are. And inshallah, as time go on, we become full functioning human beings ourselves. And now we can play the position of parent. But it's God's business to make sure that we're taken care of. All right. So likewise, in the family structure, it is the male or the man's responsibility. Now, I don't call myself because I don't want to talk about males, right? Because we know males can be anything. Right now, we have males who are saying to our society that they feel like they're female. And I'm not here to debate that. I'm not here to tell another male or another female, another human being, what they are or aren't. That's not my business. I'm not here to tell you if you're trans or if you're transitioning from one sex to the other. As regards our society is concerned, that's any of my business. I don't really have too much of an opinion on it, except to say that, you know, whatever it is that these people are doing or whatever it is that we as human beings are going through and our ups and downs and ins and outs, you know, from me to you, I wish you well on your journey. Wherever it takes you, I wish you well because I know who I am and I know what I am. And I'm going to stand on top of what I am, 10 toes down and flat footed. So I would assume that any other person feels the exact same way about whatever they are, whether they be Muslim, Christian, male, female, trans, whatever the case may be, gay, straight. Those are things that people have to deal with themselves, and they have to take that to their own lords if they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if they believe in God on any level, and they have to deal with that. And I thank Allah that that's one of the things in my life that never has become an issue. And my heart goes out to people who have that as an issue, okay? So for those who are looking at my channel who think that I'm going to be some guy, or Maulana beating up on the gays, yeah, put them in their place, put them in their place. That's not me. I'm not that dude, right? I'm not putting anybody in their place. What I'm doing is I'm going to give you a read from my own mind and my own heart as regards my studies and how I understand things. So today we're dealing with men, not males, because we have males around here trying to get inside of dresses. So I'm not talking about them. And I'm not talking about these other males who are boys, right? Pookies. So today, inshallah, we're going to speak about these Pookies. And we want to make a distinction between men and Pookies. So now, what is a Pookie, right? Everybody hear this little phrase. And for those of you who are not Black American, again, you know, Black Americans, we're very interesting people as regards how it is that we can come up with things, right? We're very artistic. We're very innovative. I mean, I tell you, I don't know any ethnic group on planet Earth who's as creative as the Black American, okay? So, we steadily going through changes, right? Black folks, well, I tell you, we can't even agree on what we should be called in America. Are we Black? Are we African Americans? Are we Africans in Americans? You know, are we American Africans? And look here, now the new thing is we're Black Indians. We're the real Native Americans, right? Oh my God. I mean, I tell you, boy, we're something else. But seriously, and going back to topic, yeah, I'm talking about real men, right? And when I say real men, I'm talking about those men who aspire to be the moral men, right? As defined by the great divines, right? Not pulling definitions from anywhere, right? We know what a male is. And I'm not talking about males. I'm talking about men and how men should be developed out. And one of the things that we fathers have to do, right, the OGs, what we have to make sure that we stand firm on and that we perpetuate in our community is that Pookie must die. Pookie got to go. So let's define Pookie. So who is a Pookie? If you look up Pookie in a regular dictionary, right, outside of a dictionary that's dealing with in Black culture, it'll say that Pookie is an affectionate term that's given to things that we love, things we think are cute, right? A cute man, a cute girl, a baby, a pet, you know, things like that. But that's not the Pookie that I'm talking about, right? And that has some coloring. The Pookie that I'm talking about, I guess that definition will color it somewhat. But I'm talking about irresponsible men, all right? Or, again, let's see, I did it again. Not men. These are not men. Pookies are not men. Pookies are boys, okay? They're boys that front as men. They're boys that are big and strong, and they walk about and they look to be men. But they're not men. They're boys, okay? They're children who have to still go through some evolution. They need some manhood training. That's what they need. They need to have some manhood training. They need to sit down and get up under a sheikh. They need to get up under an imam. They need to get up under a preacher. They need to get up under some type of bishop or mentor. That's what they need. They need some straight up mentorship. So when I say Pookie, I'm talking about these men that are running about the Black community, and they are not producing anything but children outside of wedlock that are becoming a burden, not only on the Black community, but they're becoming a burden on our nation en masse. And I don't know what's going on in Europe. with black folks. I don't know what's going on in some of these places in Africa with black folks, right? So I'm talking about what's going on here. So in Europe, if you're a black Brit, you come across this, or black Frenchman, you come across this, or black German, you come across this, or you from one of the West Coast African nations, Ghana, Senegal, Benin, or you from East Coast, Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, then I don't know what's going on in your country, but I know what's going on here. And here we have a group of irresponsible males who are fronting as men, who are making these babies, and they're creating hard-hearted women. They're creating women that are distrustful of those of us who are real men. They're creating women who are bitter, right? And these women who are raising these boys, who are raising these children, they're raising children, children, to mimic and imitate men, and they're raising boys to be soft, and for lack of a better expression, they're just little punks. That's all. They're just little punks, right? And I mean punk in the social way where they're soft, not saying that they're gay. I'm saying that they're punks, that they're soft, they're very emotional. They mimic the attitudes and the mores of their mothers, instead of having their father, because the mother laid down with a Pookie and produced these little, another Pookie, right? Pookie Jr. And now we're having this infestation of the black community of these irresponsible boys who front as men. So to be a maintainer of women mean that, first of all, fathers, we have to teach our boys. You have to be there. First of all, you have to be there with these boys. And alhamdulillah, praise be to God, I understand that black men have done a very good job with that. We have been there, right? Regardless of what it is that the nation has said, and that's a lie. To say that black men have not been with their children, that is a lie. To say that we don't spend time with our children, that is a lie. But if a child, especially if a boy child, is with his mother way more hours than he is with his father, especially when they get to the age of about 5, 6, or 7. I would say about 5, 6, or 7. Brothers, take your sons away from these women. You hear me? Take your sons away from these single mothers. If that woman has not married a good brother that you trust, and you see him as an ally, you see him as a brother that you can raise your children with, brothers, I beseech you, brothers, take your children away from these women. Find ways, if you can't do it through being friendly with the mother and convincing her and her family that's the best thing for the child, then brothers, I implore you, take it to court and try to get your children away from these women. Because these black women, oh my God, they are producing horrible men. The boys that are coming up out of these households, they are not fit to compete. They're not fit to deal with this world, right? And I'm not saying that the black woman is anything terrible. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that if with the ideals that are going on in the heads of these women, what it is that the culture is pushing, right? The ideal that you don't need a man. How many times are we going to discuss this, and how many times we've heard this from the black community? Oh, I don't need no man, right? When I hear it, it disgusts me. It just flies through me like a bolt of lightning, because I know that that's a woman right there that's going to raise a Pookie. She's going to put another black man out in this community that OGs like me are going to have to contend with, right? Because he's going to be a problem for my daughters when it's time for marriage. He's going to be a problem for my sons when it's time to compete out here. He's going to be that very representation of a black man that we don't need anymore. So we have to put these Pookies down. It's time for them to go. All right. And of course, I'm talking about this in a philosophical way. I'm not talking about harming anybody. OK, yeah, I know I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't say harm anybody unless someone tries to harm you. So when I say Pookie must die, of course, I'm not talking about his life needs to be taken. I'm saying that we have to kill the whole idea of Pookie'ism, the whole philosophy, the things that create these Pookies. We have to get rid of them, right? So this was my talk for today. I wanted to make sure that we as fathers understand that we have to raise our boys in a way where we have to make them understand how it is that you get employed. You can't be a man if you can't get employed. So how do you get employed? What type education do you need? What do we need to change in the school system? Or what do we need to add, all right? If we can't change the school system because we know how that is. A lot of these things, I don't even advocate we change. I say we should just leave it altogether, right? But if you can't leave it, your situation is not where you could do homeschooling or whatever the case may be, use the public school systems or the private school systems. And then what you need to do after that is you need to come behind it as a father, as a man, and make sure that your children understand how it is they need to get themselves trained. What type of vocation do they need to have as they go through school, not when they finish school, as they're going through high school. What vocation should they be learning? Should they learn to plumb? Should they learn to do electricity? Should they learn to barber? Should they learn to whatever it is that they can learn? Let them learn it while they're in high school. And as they get out of high school, if you want them to have higher education, right? If you want them to get these degrees, then they get the degrees that are concentrating in the types of areas where we know that they can take care of a family. Or if they decide they want to be a philosopher, fine. That's great. If they decide they want to be a historian, fine. That's great. We say power to the people. But at the same time, if you had them in high school inside of a vocation, then we know that they can do plumb. We know that they can do electrical work. We know that that young man can take care of himself and a woman and a child or children, right? So this is our job to do. Number one, that's the first step that we need to do. Outside of the fact that I mentioned earlier, get these boys, especially our boys, and the girls too, but especially the boys, get these boys away from these single mothers. Don't let a single mom, brothers, if you put a baby in this world, don't let that woman have total control over the child and then you just sit back giving the child some money and visiting the child on the weekends. No, sir, especially if it's a boy. You take your boy away from that woman when he's about 6, 7 years old, take your boy back. And you need to have your boy around you and your new wife, right? Because you don't need to have a child by yourself if you're out here single. And that's another thing. If you are male and you're out here single, living the sporting life, as it used to be called in the old days, then that too leads to Pookie'ism, right? You yourself might be a Pookie. You have to check yourself now. Are you a Pookie? All right. And if you're not a Pookie and you're a responsible man, then part of being a responsible man is getting yourself a wife. A responsible man gets himself a wife. All right. You get a woman in your life. And I believe in permanent and temporary marriage. That's what I believe in. So even if you have a temporary marriage with a young lady, that boy needs to see that woman in that house. That boy needs to see how it is that Baba, how it is that Papa, how it is that Daddy deals with that woman, right? What is the relationship? Look at the dynamics of how a couple work out together. That's very important. So if you have a child and you're a young man already, and that child is with that young lady and she's single, brother, go get your child and bring your son, especially your son, up under your roof so he can see how a man walks, how a man talks, how a man moves, that he is able to smell the breath and the air, the sweat of his baba, his father, right? That he sees you when you're happy. He sees you when you're sad. He sees you when you're angry, and how a man controls his anger, right? How he take that power that God gives him and he's able to keep that power under control. These are things that men learn from their fathers. They can't learn these things from their mothers. And that's why right now you see, for lack of a better expression, these bitch-made boys out here right now, right? This whole thing about the bitch-made brothers. That's where that comes from. It comes from these boys being around their mothers and studying their mothers and seeing their mothers, and their whole world revolves around the mother, right? Not only that, another extension from this thing of having our boys raised by these single mothers is that the black community en masse has moved into this female worship, right? Black men, boy, we worship these women. Oh my God. Or if you want to get yourself in trouble with the average brother out in these streets, say something about his mother. Not his wife, not his daughter. Say something about his mother or the grandmother that raised him. and see how long you stay alive. These crazy brothers will kill you. And I know it because I was the same way. You're saying that's why I didn't play the dozens. Y'all know me. For those who are part of my intimate circles, you know me. You know, I don't play the dozens. When I was a kid, I didn't joke and play and go back and forth playing. We call it the dozens. I don't know. In different places in the United States, they call it something else. Here in the South, we call it the dozens, right? I don't know what they call it. We might call it the Midwest or up north or other places. But I'm a Southern boy, and we call it playing the dozens or checking, right? Checking. And you go back and forth and you make jokes about each other's mothers and aunties and grandmothers. I never played that, man. I never did that because I knew you say one thing about my mother and I was going to withdraw breath from your lungs. And that's just the type of man I am. I don't play like that. You know, I say anything about my mother, my grandmother, right? Because that's a part of that. I was raised by a single mom, right? So that's a part of that worship that I'm talking about. And it's warped. It's warped. It's not something we should celebrate, right? It's warped. It's one of those things where, you know, we raised up under them. We hear their ideals. We take in all of this nonsense that they have in their minds that came from the women liberace movement, especially that maybe the third iteration of it or the fourth now. And they're starting to spew that back, right? It's coming through the society, and even the boys are believing it, right? We're grown men, and we're still walking around here with this female worshiping grandma. That's why the Medea movies are so popular, right? That's why when you come into the black community or black family, Medea is always the person, you know, everybody bow down to Medea, right? The grandfather, Baba, he get pushed out and pushed out of the picture. Nobody want to hear what he has to say. Everybody come into the house and they listening to, you know, what it is that grandma have to say. And this is the black community. This is shameful. It's shameful. Either black man is already dead because, you know, we die early in this country. We don't live long. You know, black man, you get through your 50s, man. You get the applause. You get into your 60s. It's like, okay, hold on to your hat. Right? Because the chances are you are not going to see the 70s, right? So that's one of the reasons why Medea is there, right? Because our women, they outlive us by 4 or 5 years or so. But even if we're alive, I see that black men get pushed out the pasture, right? And all the focus goes to Big Mama. Big Mama gets all of the focus. So these are things in the black community that I find very troublesome. And these are the things, too, that strip away at our manhood, right? So when it's time to talk about protection and maintenance, that's why for the black family, or when you talk to black people about it, it's an issue that you have to go through much debate about, right? There's a lot of confusion about it. And in fact, when you bring it up, and I bring it up all the time, you know, you get major pushback. And when I sit back and listen to, especially people who are younger than me, try to defend it, try to defend this warped attitude that we have toward women, right? Especially black single mothers. And so almost like they can't be criticized. If you say anything about them, man, you better be ready to fight. You better put your boxing gloves on because they're coming. And these black single women are a big problem. This is a big problem in our community. So it's time to address these things. And we have solutions for them. The solutions are here. It's just that we have to bend an ear and allow ourselves to hear people like myself, the OGs, right? Who are pulling. I'm not somebody who's smart. I'm not a smart guy like that, right? I'm just an averagely intelligent guy. But what I've learned to do is I've learned to rely on Allah and his messenger. That's how I do it, right? And that gives me the protection, that gives me the wisdom, that gives me the knowledge that I need to help those who are up under my care, right? So those who know me and you know those who are under my umbrella of care, they're well taken care of, right? They're well taken care of. Everybody overweight. Everybody got food, gas in the car, bills paid. Don't know what it is to have the cable cut off. You know, my people live good. So everybody that's up under my care, they're doing fine. And so what I'm telling you is I've learned to do that because I've reached out to those who are the great divines, right? I'm holding on the coattail of Prophet Muhammad, on him be peace. That's how I get it, right? I believe in him and I believe in his way. So that's what saved me. That's what's giving me a skeleton, right, to live my life by. right? But you do yours your way, whatever it is. But you have to reach out for the great divines. They're the ones who have the knowledge. All right, so now going back to these single black mothers. We men have to make sure that we get our boys and take them away from these women, right? You have to raise your son. You have to tell your son how it is that he's supposed to be a man, right? And that's how you destroy Pookie, right? Because these Pookies are our sons now. Pookie is not somebody that landed from the moon. They didn't come from Mars or Saturn or Jupiter. Pookie comes from your loins, right? Pookie comes from your testicles. That's your boy. That's your son. So you better get out there and take him and train him and teach him how to be a man, right? So brothers like me don't have to contend with him and deal with him, or brothers like, or men like my sons. I have sons who are men, and my sons would have to deal with your Pookie, right? And lastly, to close this out, because we're getting long, we're at 25 minutes. Oh, come on, families. Never allow, especially you men, never allow Pookie to get close to your family members. Never allow Pookie a place at the table. When you see that you have a male who's past the legal age of adulthood, and he's still around here acting like a child, then that is a creature that you should keep far away from your family, right? Oh, they got the name Pookies because these guys are normally very handsome. They're very handsome guys, you know. Their mothers dressed them well when they were little boys. You know, their mothers ran out and bought them Jordans, and they have all the nice accoutrement. They all have the nice little rings and things. You know, the mothers bought them cars. As soon as they can get them a car, you know, they put them in the car. Or if they can't do that, they dress them up like little dolls, you know. They're like, even right now in my family, when the little boys are coming up, right, if you don't stand up like a man even in your own home, right, the women in your family get affected by what's going on in society. And they want the little boy's hair to keep growing out like little girls' hair, you know. Oh, no, don't cut his hair. No, leave the hair. Ooh. And they want to treat him like he's a doll. And he's a boy. He's not a doll. He's a boy, right? And cutting a boy's hair and dressing him as a boy until he gets to the point where you have to dress up like a little man. See, this is where men come in. And this is where you have to push women back and say, no, now, my son is not a doll. This is a boy that I'm raising to be a man. And so we have to stop this nonsense, right? That's how you kill Pookie'ism. That's how you get rid of it, right? That's how you nip it in the bud. So the minute you get these boys to stop this Pookie'ism, the father has to be there and take your son away from these women folk, because these women will raise these boys, they protect them, and I understand that too, because when you Black American, we know the hurt and harm that come to black men in this country. We know that, and we know that our mother's going to protect us. Like I always tell people, I know that if anything ever happened in my life, and my mother's still alive, I know my mother got my back. More than my wife, I know my mother has my back, right? I know for a fact that my mother will be there for me when everybody else vamps. She's going to be there, right? So that's why we love our mothers the way we do, because we know what they are. But a mother is just that. That's mother love. That's an emotional, strong connection to a child that God put in the heart and the minds of women for their children. So that's proper. But men, we have a place, and we have the place to also learn to detach, right? We also love our children just as much as the women do. But we also have a mechanism in us to teach us how to detach. Because if anything starts to go wrong, it's going to be that man who's going to properly come inside to discipline that child in a way where the child knows, especially a boy child, where that boy child knows that you can't take advantage of me like you do your mother. I see the relationship you have with your mom. I have another relationship with you. And you're not going to manipulate me through love the way that your mother does, right? You always hear women talking about unconditional love for their men, unconditional love for their children, unconditional love. Like, I always thought that was crazy. That never settled on me. When I first heard the term, I think I was in high school, the Christian Agape Club, right? I heard a young lady who was a part of a Christian Agape Club. And she was the first person I think I ever heard. I was about the 11th grade. And I heard this unconditional love story, this business. And I thought to myself, huh? What? The way I understand God is a God that gives love via conditions. God don't love everybody just because he want to love everybody. No, you get that love. It comes with conditions. And as a young man, I knew that that was something that didn't land on me well. So going back to how it is that we destroy this Pookie'ism, the way we get rid of this Pookie'ism is that we must, as men, we must be in the lives of these sons where we actually have them up under our roofs. We have to keep Pookie away. These Pookies that exist, you keep them away from your family members. You give them an opportunity to get the mentorship. If they turn down your mentorship and they go away acting like little girls, then let them go. Let them go. But make sure they have no contact with your family. Make sure Pookie can't get his hands nowhere close to your daughter. He can't get his hands on your daughter. That he knows that he could take his little cute self with his little cute little clothes and go on somewhere else, and that we should starve these Pookies out to the point where they know that no woman would take their hand in marriage or lay down with them and try to have some type of child, right? And that's how we get rid of this Pookieism. So I'm going way too far today with this lesson. I didn't want to go over 30 minutes, and I just have, so I'll stop here, and we'll tag on with this discussion, or we'll further the discussion in another video if need be. If you have any comments or anything to say, please leave it in the comment section. That would be great. And if you want me to talk about anything in particular, please leave it in the comment section. We'll deal with it. I appreciate anybody that stayed on here long enough to listen to me for 31 minutes. I appreciate it. And please, if you enjoyed what you heard or you like it, please like the video and subscribe to the Chocolate Shake. Hey, I love y'all. Appreciate you. I thank you for the opportunity to say a word or two to the culture. And inshallah, I'll see you next time. Peace.